We begin the show with Senator Hatch, who joins us from Salt Lake City. Thank you for coming in, Senator. And I know everybody expects a big Republican day on November the 2, but level with us. Do you think you'll win a majority in the Senate? Will you be Chairman Hatch come January?
I think that's overhyped a little bit. I've always said we'll get somewhere around, 3 to 7 seats, and I think that's probably more likely. Naturally, I'd like to be up to 6, 7, 8, or 9, but it's very unlikely that we could even get 10. So I don't think most people feel that we're going to get control of the Senate, but things are popping out there. People are really upset, and anything could happen, and it might very well happen. But I would suspect we'll get somewhere around 6, 7, maybe even 8.
Let me ask you this, Senator. If you're going to be a senior member of the Finance Committee, no matter which party is in control, and during the lame duck, you may take up the issue of the Bush tax cuts. I know your position. You're for extending them for everybody to help small business. Let's just stipulate that. Under the budget rules, you have to offset the $700 billion of lost revenues over 10 years from extending those tax cuts. Outline the major ways you would pay for those tax cuts.
Well, first of all, let's just understand something. The Democrats have overwhelming majorities in both the House and the Senate and haven't even brought up their tax bill. And I wonder, and they haven't indicated that they're going to bring it up right when we get back on the 15th. So I don't know what they're going to do, but a vast majority of economists on CNN, a group of them have said that the best thing we can do for the economy is to keep that tax relief going, and that's what I'm for. Plus, we should add to it, corrections for the AMT, the alternative minimum tax. We ought to have the R&D tax credit. We must do something about the inheritance taxes, in other words, the death taxes. They're going to jump up to 55%.
Senator, I'm just trying to find out, though, how would you pay for that, for the upper tier? $700 billion, how would you fund that? That's what the budget rules say you have to do.
We're going to have, well, that's right, but I don't think we're going to have the numbers at least in the Senate, to be able to pay for it the way we would want to, which would be by cutting back a federal bureaucracy that has grown. Well, they believe by the end of this year, it will have grown about 18% during these 2 years of the Obama administration.
So if you can't pay for them, does that mean you can't extend them?
Well, no. I think even the Democrats are going to have to admit that we're going to extend them no matter what happens. I expect that they're going to roll those over at least for 1 or 2 years, and they should do it, or they're going to have troubles. We've had 13 straight months of at least a 9.5% unemployment rate. That's the first time since the Depression that we've had that type of a situation, that type of an economic situation.
So would you go along with extending those? Could you go along with extending those for a year or two and then make the middle class tax cuts permanent at the same time?
Well, I can go along with extending them. I don't want to. I really don't believe. Look, we know that there will be about 800,000 small businesses that will be drastically hit if you just lift the taxes the way the Democrats want to do it. Now, that's where 70% of the jobs are created. It'd be just idiotic to do that, but especially during this really tough time. The underemployment rate is over 18%. When you count people who've just given up, won't go after jobs anyway, and those are working part-time. But the base unemployment rate is 9.6. It's maintaining that, and it doesn't look like it's going to go lower in the upcoming months. So, yeah, we're going to have to face the music, but we're going to have the votes, too.
Let's talk post-tax cut. Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels, former budget director, a friend of yours, in a speech the other night said that we really should think about a value-added tax. Either as chairman or a senior member of the Finance Committee, is that something that would be under consideration for you?
Well, I disagree with Mitch on that, and I'll tell you why. It is so easy to increase taxes. It's very difficult to reduce them under a value-added tax. And just take a look at all the countries that have value-added taxes. Their taxes have gone up regularly, and they haven't been able to keep them down. And we know that we don't want to become like Europe. Europe has really, really difficult problems ahead of them, but so do we. We've got Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security problems that are coming out of the chimney, and we have got to face these problems. Now, I've been in the Senate 34 years now. We've never had a fiscal conservative majority in the Senate. We've always had 3 to 6 moderate to liberal Republicans from blue states who would vote with the Democrats on economic issues. We've won a lot of battles on sure guts, good presidential leadership, Reagan, Bush 1, Bush 2, and even Clinton. But the fact of the matter is that unless we can get a really solid majority in both houses, it's going to be very difficult to get spending under control. It's certainly going to be difficult to make the necessary changes in the entitlement programs, as it always has been. And, you know, I think the Democrats, they won't be able to keep spending like they're doing, but they've already spent us into bankruptcy.
Senator Hatch, you watched your Utah colleague, conservative Bob Bennett, get rejected by Tea Party Republicans in your state this year. Some are already predicting that Congressman Jason Chaffetz will do the same thing to you in 2012 and take you on. From the perspective of a Tea Party Republican, what's the difference between you and Senator Bennett?
Well, first of all, I like Bob Bennett. I felt like he was a great senator, but I'm no Bob Bennett. I'm meeting with these folks, the Tea Party people and others, and I'm holding extensive town hall meetings. It used to be if we got 50 to 100 people show up at a town hall meeting, that was a good thing. I'm getting 500 to 700, and I stand there for at least 3 hours every time answering their questions. So, and people know I'm tough. In all honesty, I always run scared. I don't care who runs against me.
You're more conservative than Senator Bennett?
I'm not. Yes, there's not much doubt about that.
Okay.
And I think they know that. And I think they know that I'm not Bob Bennett. But Bob was a conservative. But I'm more conservative than he is.
Final question.
Depends,
Over the years, you've been a solid conservative, there's no question, but you've also worked across the aisle with a number of Democrats, like Ted Kennedy. Some conservatives in Washington now say, hey, I'll tell you, with the threat of a Tea Party challenge, Orrin Hatch's days of being bipartisan are over. Fair comment?
Well, no, I don't think so. I've just done a number of bills in a bipartisan way. But I've got to say this. I really got upset when we did the CHIP bill. We did it so the states had control over CHIP. The minute they had a chance, they didn't consult with me or anybody else, and I wrote that original bill. They just went ahead and made it another big federal government spending bill. And I've got to say, that was almost the final straw to me. But I'll work with any Democrat that's willing to work in good faith on good issues in the right way and do it in a fiscally responsible way. But I'm certainly not going to let them keep spending and taxing us and building more government. Do you realize that this president, when he took over, the bottom 40% didn't pay income taxes? Today it's up to 49%. I think they're trying to push it to 60%, which would make a natural Democratic Party constituency in their eyes. And it's just ridiculous what they're doing, and the American people are starting to catch on, and I think that's why this election is so exciting to most people.
Well, Senator Orrin Hatch, it's exciting to have you with us, and thank you very much for joining us. And when we come back, an American gets the red carpet